Have you ever replayed a single conversation in your head over and over again, wondering if you said the wrong thing? Do you spend minutes typing a text message, only to delete it, rewrite it, and still question whether you should send it? Do simple decisions somehow feel overwhelming, like every choice carries invisible consequences? If that sounds familiar, you probably call yourself an overthinker. But what if overthinking isn't just anxiety? What if it's actually a sign that your brain works differently from most people? Because psychology shows that people who overthink often share rare mental traits linked to deep awareness, emotional intelligence, and powerful pattern recognition. The problem is, the world usually misunderstands them. People say, "Relax. You think too much. Stop making everything complicated." But your mind isn't trying to create problems, it's trying to understand everything. In this video, we're uncovering 7 rare psychological traits commonly found in people who overthink everything. And once you hear them, you may finally understand why your mind never truly shuts off. Let's begin. One of the biggest reasons overthinkers feel mentally exhausted is because they notice things most people completely ignore. While others casually move through conversations, your brain is analyzing every detail in real time. A change in tone, a delayed response, a forced smile, an awkward pause. Even a simple "I'm okay" can feel loaded with hidden meaning. Your mind naturally picks up emotional signals that most people never even register. Psychologists often connect this to something called high sensory processing sensitivity, meaning your brain processes information on a much deeper level than average. You don't just hear words, you study emotion. You don't just watch behavior, you search for intention. And honestly, that level of awareness can feel like both a gift and a curse. Because while it makes you emotionally intelligent, observant, and highly intuitive, it also means your brain almost never switches off. You notice tension before anyone says a word. You sense fake energy instantly. You catch patterns early. But the downside is this: when your brain notices everything, it feels responsible for understanding everything. And that constant mental processing is exactly why overthinkers often feel exhausted, even after doing absolutely nothing physical. A lot of people think overthinkers are simply anxious, but in reality, many overthinkers are emotionally intelligent people living with an overloaded mind. You don't just feel your own emotions deeply, you absorb the emotions of everyone around you. You can walk into a room and immediately sense tension. You notice when someone's energy changes. You can tell when a smile is fake, when a voice sounds heavy, or when someone says, "I'm fine," but clearly isn't. And because your emotional awareness is so intense, your brain constantly tries to predict emotional outcomes before they happen. That's where the overthinking starts. What if I upset them? What if they misunderstood me? What if they secretly took that personally? Your brain believes it's protecting you from conflict, rejection, embarrassment, or emotional pain. Psychologists often link this to heightened empathy. Highly empathetic people naturally analyze human behavior more deeply because relationships genuinely matter to them. You care about how your words affect people. You care about emotional impact. You care about meaning. And sometimes, you carry emotional responsibility that was never yours to begin with. That's why emotionally intelligent overthinkers often struggle with boundaries. You replay conversations searching for emotional clarity. You try to decode hidden feelings. You attempt to fix tensions that may not even exist. But here's the truth most overthinkers need to hear. Not every emotion requires analysis. Not every silence hides a problem. And not every person's feelings are your responsibility to manage. Real peace begins when emotionally intelligent people stop trying to control every emotional outcome and finally allow uncertainty to exist. Overthinkers are incredibly skilled at noticing patterns most people completely miss. Your brain naturally connects dots faster than others realize. You notice inconsistencies, behavior changes, repeated habits, small contradictions in people's words and actions. That's why people often ask, "How did you catch that?" Because your mind is constantly scanning for meaning beneath the surface. This ability can become a superpower. It's one reason many overthinkers become great writers, entrepreneurs, strategists, artists, and problem solvers. You think ahead. You prepare for possibilities. You analyze outcomes before they happen. But there's also a darker side to this gift. Sometimes your brain creates patterns that aren't actually there. A delayed text feels like rejection. A short reply feels personal. One mistake suddenly feels like total failure. And your thoughts begin spiraling. The truth is, your brain is trying to create certainty in an unpredictable world. But not every silence means something. Not every change is a warning sign. And peace begins when you stop believing you can control life by overanalyzing every detail. Many overthinkers aren't lazy or indecisive. They're terrified of making the wrong move. Deep down, your brain believes, if I think hard enough, I can avoid failure completely. So you analyze every option, every risk, every possible outcome. You delay decisions waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. But perfectionism is often just fear disguised as responsibility. Your mind thinks over-preparing will protect you from disappointment, embarrassment, or regret. The problem? Overthinking usually creates the exact pain you were trying to avoid. Missed opportunities, mental exhaustion, anxiety, self-doubt. Highly intelligent and ambitious people often struggle with this because they place enormous pressure on themselves to succeed. You don't just want good results, you want certainty. But life doesn't offer certainty. And the most successful people aren't those who never fail. They're the ones willing to move forward despite uncertainty. That's the lesson every overthinker eventually must learn. Progress will always matter more than perfection. Overthinkers spend so much time inside their minds that they often miss the moment happening right in front of them. Your brain is constantly traveling through time, replaying old conversations, reliving embarrassing moments, analyzing mistakes from years ago, and at the same time, predicting future problems that haven't even happened yet. What if things go wrong? What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? Your mind becomes a non-stop simulation machine. And while imagination is powerful, uncontrolled imagination can quietly create anxiety. Because your brain struggles to tell the difference between imagined stress and real danger. So even when nothing bad is happening, your body still reacts like it's under attack. Your heart races, your muscles tighten, your energy drains. Eventually, overthinking stops feeling mental and starts becoming physical exhaustion. That's why mindfulness helps so many overthinkers. Not because it removes thoughts completely, but because it teaches your mind to return to the present moment. Because most of life is happening right now, not inside the imaginary disasters your brain keeps creating, Most overthinkers aren't shallow thinkers. Your mind naturally searches for depth in everything. Depth in conversations, depth in relationships, depth in purpose. You dislike fake interactions and surface-level communication because your brain constantly wants to understand what truly matters. You ask questions most people avoid. Who am I really? What's my purpose? Why do people behave the way they do? That level of introspection can create incredible wisdom, but it can also create loneliness. Because deep thinkers often feel misunderstood by the world around them. You may feel emotionally disconnected even when surrounded by people. Not because you hate people, but because your mind operates at a depth many people never reach. Still, there's an important balance overthinkers must learn. Not every moment needs deep analysis. Sometimes happiness exists in simple things: music, laughter, a peaceful walk, a genuine conversation. Real growth happens when deep thinkers learn how to balance reflection with simply being present in life. This may be the most painful trait of all. Overthinkers are often far more critical of themselves than anyone else could ever be. You replay mistakes for years. You overanalyze embarrassing moments nobody else even remembers. You constantly feel like you should be doing better, achieving more, becoming more, even when others already think you're doing enough. Your inner voice can become relentless, and the truth is, you'd probably never speak to another person the way you speak to yourself. Highly analytical people often connect their self-worth to performance. So when something fails, your mind doesn't say, "That situation went wrong." It says, "I'm the problem." That mindset slowly creates emotional exhaustion and burnout. At some point, every overthinker must learn self-compassion. Not excuses, not laziness, self-compassion. The ability to accept that being human means being imperfect. You are allowed to fail, you are allowed to rest, and you are allowed to stop carrying impossible expectations that were never meant for one person to hold alone. So if you overthink everything, maybe your mind isn't weak after all. Maybe it's highly aware, highly analytical, highly sensitive, and deeply human. The goal was never to completely silence your thoughts. The real goal is learning when thinking becomes harmful instead of helpful. Because the same mind that makes you anxious can also make you insightful, creative, empathetic, and incredibly self-aware. Your mind can become your greatest strength or your biggest prison. The difference is awareness and balance. So stop treating yourself like something is wrong with you simply because you think deeply. Some of the most intelligent people in the world struggle with the exact same battle. If this video resonated with you, comment below which trait describes you the most. And remember this, sometimes the strongest thing you can do is give your mind permission to rest. Thanks for watching.